Hello and welcome to Lamplighter. Today is March 9. Today marks the end of the wilderness wanderings in our daily Bible reading. It is the time when the mantle of leadership has already been transferred from Moses to Joshua, as we saw yesterday. And we were reminded yesterday that really the leadership is not changing, that God has always been the leader of this theocratic nation. That's why it's called a theocracy. God himself is the sovereign God. God himself is in control. He is the one who makes the rules. He is the one who enforces the keeping of those rules. And because the rules were violated, and more importantly, because God was not shown as holy or honored as holy among the Israelites by Moses, Moses is not going to be able to enter the promised land. And so we were reminded of that yesterday, and I want to reiterate it today because it's so important. Such a valuable leader as Moses, such a great man, as we'll read a little bit later together today, and yet he's not able to go to the promised land. And I always ask myself, what could Moses have done that was so severe that his punishment would keep him from entering the land of promise that he had longed for so long, that promised land that had been promised to Abraham so many generations earlier? But remember that neither he nor Aaron enter the promised land because God says they broke faith with him in the presence of the Israelites, and because they did not hold up God's holiness in the sight of the Israelites. Critically important to honor God, critically important to uphold God's power, God's presence, God's protection, God's provision in the eyes of all of those who surround us even today. So Moses is allowed or encouraged by God to go up Mount Nebo. And from there, God is going to show him all the land of Canaan, the land of promise. And while Moses is contemplating this trip up Mount Nebo, before he leaves, he gives a final blessing to the people. And his words are words of optimism. They're words of hope. They're words of encouragement. Moses wants the people to succeed. He knows their tendency to fail. He knows their likelihood of making mistakes once they enter the promised land. And so he wants to leave them with these words of encouragement and hope. So Moses goes up Mount Nebo at the bequest of God, and God shows him the entire land of promise. Now, this is a time when Moses is both excited and concerned. And I want to direct your attention back to the commentary section on page 311 in your Bible, under the section that says Moses' death and burial. I want to start reading at the second sentence here and highlight some things that are said here by the editor. It must be with mixed emotions that he climbs that last step and looks down over the land that flows with milk and honey. The land is rich and fertile. There is room for a nation and roots at last for a wandering people. The long journey has been worth it, and the God who has promised it all is indeed faithful. But the land must still be conquered. While Moses has every confidence that God can deliver the land, he knows that territorial conquest is nothing compared to the struggle that the Israelites will face in trying to maintain their covenant relationship with God. It's going to be a physical battle, all right. It's going to be a physical challenge to conquer the land. But Moses is concerned because he knows more than that, it will be a spiritual challenge for these people to keep their portion of the covenant with God, to maintain that covenant relationship with God. God shows Moses the land as if to say to him, here it is. This is what you and I have been longing for. This is what we've been working toward. This is the land I promised. And then we're told that Moses dies at the age of 120. And something fascinating is said here. Even at the age of 120, when he sees his death, his eyes are not weak and his strength is not gone. Israel mourns for a period of 30 days for Moses, and then Joshua takes over the mantle of leadership, as we've discussed, and the people do what the Lord commanded Moses. I think this wording is interesting. Joshua takes the lead, but the phraseology here is that the people do as the Lord commanded Moses. So Moses is still being honored, still being remembered, and Joshua is just picking that ball up right where it was and continuing forward. I want us to read the tribute to Moses again together. It's at the bottom of page 311. Since then, no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face, who did all those miracles and signs and wonders the Lord sent him to do in Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his officials and to the whole land. For no one has ever shown the mighty power or performed the awesome deeds that Moses did in the sight of all Israel. What a great man of God. What a great tribute is given to this man of God. And then as our reading closes today, I think these words are so powerful. As Abraham had taught a family about faith, Moses had taught a nation about law. And in centuries to come, one greater than them both will teach the whole world about love and grace. It is a continuing story. The story is not about Abraham. It's not about Moses. The story is about God and his unfolding and developing love for all of mankind, his continuing ways to show his love, his mercy, and his grace because he desires relationship and fellowship with his people. Do we have fellowship with God today? That is our ultimate quest. We want to be his people. We want today to be a holy nation. We want to be his treasured possession, don't we? We must be people who hear his word, who read his word, who think about his word, but most importantly, apply his word to our lives and are obedient to his word. Isn't it great to be a lamplighter? His word is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. I hope you have a blessed day.